Bradford are in the £1 million match, so on course for a rapid return to Super League. But where will that game be played next Saturday? If they beat Halifax here and Wakefield slip up at Sheffield tomorrow, then they'll be back at Odsal. If Wakefield win, it'll be over at Bellevue. The Bulls' final qualifier and the dream climax they'd hoped for is on. The Bradford Bulls are making 9 changes from the team that clinched the place in the £1 million match at Lee last week. We will give you the full rundown in a few moments' time. But before the match, the Bradford Bulls are going to hold a minute's silence in memory of their former club chairman, Jack Bates, who passed away on Sunday at the grand old age of 94. Jack stepped down from the board of directors in 2010 after 35 years of service to this club. He played a huge part in establishing the Bulls' golden era at the start of the Super League and was influential in the signing of Robbie Hunter-Paul back in 1994. His funeral took place yesterday and he will be remembered before the kick-off here with a minute's silence that is being explained to the crowd in Odsal Stadium right now by the club's pastor. Jack Bates, a former club chairman, and gave great service to the Bradford Bulls. And Ben Thaler, the match referee, is about to get this game underway. Hull KR, Salford and Widnes have already booked their return ticket to the big time for 2016. It will be either Wakefield or Bradford joining them, the level on points with 1 game left to play. A slip-up now could cost either of them home advantage. And I've got Terry and Barry alongside me here in the commentary box. As I say, Bradford making 9 changes from the team that clinched their place in the £1 million match last week. Does that surprise you, Terry, that James Lowes has made so many changes?
I wasn't expecting 9 changes. I was expecting some changes. Adrian Patel not playing, he was the star player for Bradford last week. But the good news for Bradford and their fans that Lee Gaskell's back. He's not played for the last 4 games. He was injured against Wakefield. So it's a test for him and see if he gets through this game and makes that £1 million game next week.
Yes, there's the Bradford team going through the bottom of your screen. You'll notice that Lee Gaskell is actually on the bench here today, so he will be trying to prove his fitness to James Lowes ahead of the big £1 million match next week. Whether it will be here or Wakefield mightn't matter to too many people, but I'm surprised that Bradford aren't really going hell for leather for the 2 points here today, because that would put the pressure on Wakefield to win at Sheffield tomorrow and clinch the £1 million match at Bellevue. But maybe Bradford are content to be in it no matter where it is going to be played, which is fair enough. But Halifax, of course, they've come here and they're all tooled up and ready to play. And Richard Marshall, their coach, looking to end the season with a flourish. It has been a magnificent year for Halifax. Richard Marshall, the championship coach of the year. But the first set of 6 has resulted in the ball landing in the arms of Ryan Shaw. And so here go Bradford now looking for the first points of the match.
And Eddie, Halifax came into these qualifiers after winning the last 9 straight games in the Championship. Unfortunately, they've only managed to win one game in these qualifiers. They want to finish off well. They want to finish off with a good performance before they finish the season, go into the next year. And also, you look at some of the players that Richard Marshall's assembled. He's got some good old senior pros. He's got some good youngsters, and looking forward to a big year next year.
At the moment, it's the Bradford Bulls, their first season outside of Super League, heading for the big climax that they hoped for when they took the dive at the end of 2014. And Jay Pitts, who is captaining the side here, gets himself disentangled. That's Vila Halafihi, and a dab to the corner, and that is off the chest of the Halifax defender Jake Eccleston, and so that will be a goal line dropout.
Well, that's a good start for Bradford. You know, where they've been preparing for this game during the week, they'll work on some repeat sets,
keep it going.
Some pressure, and applying some pressure to the Halifax side. And you quite rightly said that during the 6 previous games in the qualifiers, Halifax have only managed to notch up one victory, but that victory was a very impressive one of the biggest upsets in the short history of these qualifiers. 34 points to 12 against Lee Centurion, so they can certainly turn up the Halifax side.
And they have turned up here today hoping to prove a point. They got a victory against Bradford, the last round of the weekly rounds in the Championship. It was a famous win for Halifax as well. And they were delighted to claim the points on that particular occasion. They're trying to dent them here, but this is a great charge through towards the line. Matt Ryan gives the Bradford Bulls the dream start. Matt Ryan. Well, it's going to be very interesting for him next week, because he joined this club from Wakefield last month, and the £1 million game against his former club is looming, and he's just got his first try of the campaign for the Bradford Bulls.
And we're already just 3 minutes into this game. Here's the kick that goes forward, a nasty bounce, and it comes off Eccleston. Another set of 6 close to Halifax's line, and a good effort from Ryan. He picks out a line, he comes hard and straight. You got young James Saltonstall just defending on his heels against the big man, trying to stop him. It's a total mismatch, but already Vila Halafihi is saying, keep it tight, keep it tight. He wants the big forwards just keep tic-tacking up the field, taking it to Halifax. Good start from Bradford.
Yes, great start from Bradford. The 27-year-old over for his first try, as I say, in Bradford's colours. He played 20 of 23 for the Wildcats this year before he came over to Odsal. And he came to the UK last year from Parramatta. He was at the Eels in the NRL 2012 and 2013. So Ryan Shaw making his first appearance in these qualifiers. 272 points in the Championship. And can Ryan Shaw make it the perfect 6 at the start of this last qualifier for the Bradford Bulls? The answer is yes, he can. Left-footed over the top of the crossbar, no problem. Bradford 6, Halifax 0.
And you brought up a good point. You talked about home advantage in that £1 million game. Well, the grand old lady of rugby league, Odsal Stadium, is very unique. It's got those corners, they curl up. Used to be a racetrack, of course. And the speedway used to whiz around this not too long ago. But it's a fabulous stadium. Really thrilled to be back here again. Had some fabulous nights here as a player, but it's about the Bradford Bulls of 2015 and whether they can get back to where they feel they belong, Super League.
Epelhami Luaki will carry this ball forward for the Bulls here. This is his first start in the qualifiers as well. Yes, if it all comes off, and James Lowes must be very confident in the squad that he has under his control. If it all comes off and they get the victory against Halifax today, the pressure will be on Wakefield to perform at Sheffield tomorrow.
Eddie, and when you play rugby league, you'd have to have a decent squad, don't you? So whether James Lowes chose to rest 9 players, you still look at that Bradford side. You've got Jay Pitts, all the experience from Leeds. You've got Paul Clough, 189 appearances for St Helens. You've got Epelhami Luaki, who's a Kiwi international, and Harry Syker, the man who's just kicked the ball. He was a former Australian schoolboy. So an awful lot of experience there within the side.
And that kick from Syker just skipping past Tom Saxton. And so it'll be a restart on the 20-metre line. The referee today, as I say, Ben Thaler, the Challenge Cup final referee. Leeds against Hull Kingston Rovers at Wembley a few weeks ago. Here now we have Eccleston.
Hold on, come with your hands on the ball. Push forward, play on.
And the hooker is Ben Kay.
Sorry, Eddie. And for this Halifax side, they just need to believe in themselves. They've already beaten Bradford early on in the year when they were in the championship. I think it was the 26th of July. They were up at half-time, 14 points to 0. They went on to clinch victory. So they can believe that they can beat them.
And here goes Adam Tangata, and he has been called in yesterday into the Cook Islanders World Cup qualifying squad for the game against Tonga on the 17th of October, 3 weeks today. That'll be played down under in Australia. So he's shown up well, has Tangata, in this championship season.
No shoulder. 2. Move, Jacob!
This is where Halifax need to work really hard, get tight. You can see that Bradford, well, they're all congesting around the ball. They're just simple one-up carries. When they're bringing the ball away from their line, James Lawes referred to it a couple of weeks ago as just simple sets. Let's get through, get to our kick when we're in yardage, bringing the ball away. And Halifax, well, they've started off quite well defensively, away from their try line. Obviously, they conceded a try close.
Blythe tips the ball inside to Paul Clough, who celebrates his 28th birthday tomorrow. He plays it to Halafihi at dummy half, and that kick is charged down. I'll get used to Vila Halafihi's name in a moment. He is, of course, the son of Nick Halafihi, the former Sheffield, London and Hull KR player who was alongside David Howes at St Helens in the early years of Super League.
And he's a good player as well, Vila. I know him well. He's got a good eye for a gap. He's got good pace, good instinct. And at the minute, he's just scooping the ball up, going through the sets, going through the nuts and bolts of the early stages of this game. But it won't be too long before he picks up. As soon as he sees the markers tangled up or a late retreater, he'll be challenging those defenders.
Paul Clough takes it forward again, but they've reached the fifth tackle, so last one coming here. And James Mendeka slides the kick in. And it needed some goal line defence, which Halifax come up with.
Well, they've just got too much time, Eddie, at the minute.
Did well there, Saltonstall.
Yeah, he did. He was put under pressure, and that's because the Bradford man who was kicking the ball, Syker, well, he took it to the line. He took a couple of steps. The Bradford players were in support. They pushed up, and he had to be brave, Saltonstall, to gather that ball up.
Yeah, the Halifax fullback, another birthday boy tomorrow. He celebrates his 22nd. This is Tom Saxton, meanwhile. And the referee unhappy with the challenge on him. The ball knocked out of his hand by one of 3 defenders.
Such a strong player. You see his legs pumping. We're used to seeing him, Castleford, years gone by in Super League. You really do need to muscle up. He attracts 3 defenders and he's still carrying them a couple of metres forward.
So on the back of the first penalty of the game, here come Halifax with their first real chance, I suppose, to attack this Bradford line. Ben Kay is the man in at dummy half, and Luke Ambler was the fellow who was playing the ball. That's Scott Morrell, and here now is Ben Johnson. Johnson gets the ball wide as well. Ooh, was that fumbled over on that far side by Tyra?
It's okay, that, Eddie.
Nice little drop of the shoulder. Ball goes out wide to Saxton, and Saxton's over for Halifax. On the back of the first penalty of the match, Tom Saxton comes up with his first try in these qualifiers on his 3rd appearance at this stage of the competition. And Tom Saxton gives Richard Marshall something to think about and something to talk about in the coach's booth just alongside us here.
And this is exactly what they needed. They needed to make sure that when they get down here, they come away with points. They come away with a couple of repeat sets at 6. And when you've got players, Steve Tyra, I think he was the man who was the player before, it's a very good hard line. And then when you've got the likes of Ben Johnson, when he goes, accelerates off his right foot, gets the ball to that man, Saxton, close to the line, it's going to be very hard to stop. As Barry's already said, very big, very powerful, and very quick as well.
Didn't he do well, Ben Johnson? Not only to jump out that short side, a nice show and go, and then delivered the crucial pass. And Tommy Saxton is too big and too strong that far out, or that close to the line, should I say. And a good riposte from Halifax.
Yes, just what they needed. And so Steve Tyra, the former St Helens Widnes Crusaders Salford, he was at Widnes in 2012. Over 800 points for the Halifax club though now, Steve Tyra. He's kicked 19 goals in these qualifiers. Can he make it number 20 and level the scores? Way out on the far touchline. A good kick on him.
Yep.
And that proves the point. Scores a level here at Odsall. Bradford 6, Halifax 6.
Well, they'd be pleased with that. And just look at the work he has to do. He looks open, comes back to the blind. Again, a nice short goal and a lovely two-handed grounding of the ball. Very experienced player, and for Halifax that was important to stop, halt that momentum that Bradford began the game with.
This is the fourth meeting of 2015 between these two. And Halifax beat the Bulls in July at the Shea. They lost here 32-19 on Good Friday. Were beaten 18-4 at the Summer Bash in Blackpool. And we'll round off our coverage of these qualifiers with Widnes against Lee on Sky Sports Extra. That's the channel available on the website or the Sky Sports iPad. And that is at 3 o'clock tomorrow. Widnes, the points differential is such that they have already really secured their place back in the Super League, but they will want to finish on a flourish, and I'm sure that Lee would like nothing better than to do exactly the same, because I think it's fair to say, fellas, that Lee have been a disappointment in these qualifiers. They were the team expected to make it to the £1 million game, but credit Bradford the way they've continued on this year. But here come Halifax, and this could be a try for Halifax. It is, and it's Steve Tyra. The referee will have a look to check whether he is onside or offside.
I think he's a mile offside, Stephen Tyra.
Well, they've got a try on the field.
And make sure when he bobbles the ball,
I think he's a mile
doesn't
offside.
touch a Bradford man. I think it's all right.
He's quite quick, you know, Barry. Steve Tyra.
Well, let's have a look. Let's have a look.
Yeah, I'm onside. No, it's close. He's the Steve Tyra. He's the man who's at the top of the screen. The second in comes up with this ball. Yeah.
Video referee today is James Child.
Yep. I'm going to change my mind. I think he's onside. I think he's a mile onside.
I think he's okay, Ed. He gets the... There's no call from the touch judge. Everything's okay. Clean catch. Bit of a dummy on the outside to Tommy Saxton. He's got Dane Manning pushing up. It's a good start, this, for Halifax, isn't it?
Well, they conceded the first try. I think they've just scored the second try for them in
3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Yeah.
So that was a difficult kick to take as well.
Well, it was because he was catching it. He was looking over his shoulder. He was running towards the touchline, and he gathers that ball. He's a very good footballer as well, Steve Tyra, as a kid.
And the try is given to Steve Tyra, and so Halifax, they have the lead. Well, well, well. Bradford started with the try in the opening 3 minutes to Matt Ryan, and Tyra and Saxton have hit them for 2 in 3 minutes here.
Well, it's a good kick, get some height on it, Scott Morrell. You can see that there was enough Bradford players to deal with that threat, and as soon as it goes up in the air, it's a contest. Unfortunately for Bradford and for James Lowes, none of the 3 players around Steve Tyra made it into that contest, which made it an easy take for him, and the points machine goes in. Not only can he kick conversions, he can score some tries as well.
He can. 4 tries in 6 qualifiers for this young man, Steve Tyra. And he kicked one 10 metres further out towards the touchline a moment ago, and he's kicked another one here. So Bradford from 6 up now trail 12-6 to Halifax.
Well, what a quality kick. It fooled everybody. It fooled the Bradford defenders. It fooled me. I thought Stephen Tyra was offside, but he'd held his line. Obviously, good communication between Scott Morrell and Steve Tyra. He knew that where that ball was going to be. He simply had to put himself in the right spot. And Richard Marshall and Halifax side are right in this game.
Yes, they are, very much so. They're ahead by 12 points to 6, and Richard Marshall, the championship coach of the year in his first season in charge, in his first season as a head coach. He came here from Warrington. He studied under Tony Smith at Warrington, and well, he's made a real good fist of his first season in charge, and he's flattered, I know, to have received that Coach of the Year award. Says it is a reward, a fitting reward for the players and all the staff that he has down there at the Shea.
And all the hard work they've done. The club have, as I said before, they've assembled some good players, led by that man in particular, Scott Morrell. And then you put a sprinkling of youngsters in there that's going to keep the team together, that's going to keep going forward. And then you bring some stars in from Australia, and I think the man who made the tackle in, number 17, Cullen, he's been one of their standouts this year. He's been absolutely brilliant. Every time he carries the ball, every time he hits, he's a big, powerful leader.
And I think when we were last seeing Halifax at the Shea, the point we made that day was that this experience in the qualifiers will do Halifax the world of good in 2016 and moving forward, because they do have ambition one of these days to get back into Super League. Maybe if it would have come this year, it might have been a little bit early, But this has given them a taste. And if they can continue on from all of this in 2016, who knows?
Eddie, all you need to do is keep building every year. Building on your performances, building on your squad. And then when you've got a squad that you think's ready to get in Super League, we'll just have a crack at it. Good chase. And that's good footwork, isn't it? Saltonstall.
Saltonstall got the ball away to Tommy Saxton. It was great footwork in his own in-goal area. It was a missile that was launched by Harry Syker, the kick. It looked as though it was going far too long, but it bounced straight up in the air. And Bradford now have the sense of something, because that's 2 tackles gone. And oh, but that doesn't help. Epelhami Luwaki going in far too high.
Careful, just watch it.
Yeah, well, just as a big fella, when you get off the line, you've got a teammate either side here. You're just trying to get off the line, hit one of the opposition. The step off the right foot, beats the big fella, swinging arm, just sticks it out, knows he's beaten. Soon as he does that, hands up. But this is good footwork from Saltonstall to get out and get back in the field of play. Even a little offload to Saxton, then just buys that important ground.
Saltonstall was one of a few players in this Halifax side who came through the Warrington Academy system underneath Richard Marshall. So he's recruited well from his former club with some of these young players. And here is Ben Johnson trying to conjure something up 30 metres away from the Bradford line. Now it's with Culhane. He gets the ball away. Good drive coming in from Furbank. The ball, though, is spilled. And that won't have pleased them.
It was a shame, that, Eddie, because I think that pass was on Furbank. And the name Furbank ringing round Odsel again. I bet there's a few old-timers with fond memories of the Furbank brothers. It was good pressure from Matty Blythe. Tangata couldn't get hold of that ball, but he's given possession away.
Yeah, Jacob Furbank actually played 2 on loan for Bradford in 2013. But it's the Bulls who are in possession here just inside the Halifax half with James Mendeka, and he finds Luwaki, who brings it back on a diagonal run, drops it almost, but it went backwards, and Halafihi picks it up.
It was a loose offload, Eddie.
Boys.
A bit of a sloppy offload from the former Kiwi international.
Up again off the boot of Syker. This is high and long, but he does well, does Jake Eccleston to take that.
Yeah, another excellent take.
Sorry, James Saltonstall to take that.
Yeah.
Here's Saxton now.
Well, he's been put under pressure, hasn't he, Eddie? He's very confident, knows that he's under pressure. As soon as he catches it, it's hit from a Bradford defender. And that's exactly what you need as a fullback. You need to be put under pressure early on in the game, and then your confidence will build. Keep on growing, and it's a good start from the youngster.
Tyra goes down on tackle number 4. Bradford doing a decent job in this set defensively. Saxton trying to spin his way out of trouble. We've reached the last tackle here.
Okay, he's all right.
And a big hoof down to the other end from Scott Morrell, and it's picked up by Ryan Shaw, and he'll try and take this back with some interest. The chase just a little bit lackadaisical there, and he tried to make full advantage of it, did Shaw.
Oh, it was a good return, straight and hard, and you talked about Richard Marshall not going back to his club for too many players, but certainly know not a lot about Ryan Shaw, a former Warrington Academy player. He's very big, very tall, hails from Barrow, big Cumbrian.
Matty Blythe, another former Warrington man. A couple of tries from Blythe in the win against Lee last week. The big fella, Steve Crossley, who's in his second spell with the Bradford Bulls, is on the field. First change by James Lowes. Again, Syker with one of these arrowing kicks. And who's underneath it? Inevitably again, it's Saltonstall.
Move, Cluffy, come on.
All that Halifax need to do is, every time that they're defending, control the big fellas. The likes of Crossley, when he goes forward, Luwaki, when he goes forward, Clough. Because Bradford just been keeping it tight right the way through the opening 18 minutes. Halifax looking to play off a bit of speed, give the hooker something to go off Ben Cape, and obviously get a decent play of the ball so Scott Morrell can kick on the front foot, turn Bradford around.
Mitch Culhane has to take the tackle there of Matt Ryan. 2 Australians tangling, and the ball is fed out wide by Ben Johnson. But again, Bradford have restricted Halifax to inside their own half on the last tackle, but the kick over the top from Ben Johnson looking for the corner is a good one. Gains them some land down in that far side.
Just keep turning them round, Eddie. As a big fella, if you're a Bradford player, You don't want to see the ball keep going over the top of your head, and then you having to retreat behind the ball to bring it forward. You want the ball on the front foot, and James Lowes knows that they're in the tussle, and he's come into this game with all the focus, I'm sure, and giving Halifax all the respect that they have. But he's looking at next week, so whether they have rested those players for that big game, Halifax, on the other hand, will be looking at that thinking they're not disrespecting us, but they've maybe got their eye off the ball.
Well, yes, they will compete in the first £1 million game next weekend, and the question that has to be answered this weekend, where it will be played. Oh, in here they will bring it to Oslo. If Wakefield slip up at Sheffield tomorrow, it will be here.
Good.
You know, when you think about it, Bradford must be ruining the defeats, the two big defeats that they've suffered in these qualifiers against Widnes and Hulkingston Rovers this month. Otherwise, points difference would have been so different. They're finding themselves in 5th place coming into this.
Eddie, they were also hammered by Wakefield, weren't they?
This will help them, this penalty.
Far too slow, get up.
Just too slow. The Halifax players just bending Matty Blythe, though. That it wasn't for an illegal tackle, it was just because there was too long in the tackle. That's what the referee, Ben Thaler, says.
Nearly fell asleep on him, you that
So chances then here for Bradford.
Did you hear that then?
From Ben Thaler, the referee.
You nearly fell asleep on him, you were that slow.
Wait, boys, tidy up.
He has a great rapport with the players, as we've said all year, does Ben Thaler. And this, meanwhile, is Paul Clough, cornerstone of the Bradford pack. Now, Matty Blythe. Oh, what a hit. Tremendous tackle low down by the last man off there.
Ben Heaton really chopped him in half.
Syker, they've got a 2-on-1 overlap out wide. If they get the ball out wide, well, they got the ball out wide. Did Adam Henry? But it went to ground and behind the winger, James Clare.
There's some good signs from Halifax in this game. Even when the ball goes away from them, they're working, they're communicating. You can see them all pushing out. Dane Manning was the last man there who just goes down. But some good passage of play in defence from Halifax. Tommy Saxton backing off, buying that bit of time.
Doesn't he do well there? It would be easy to go towards Adam Henry, and then he would simply offload it with to his winger. There's the sledgehammer from Ben Heaton. You're right, there's good contact, good control and good composure defensively for Halifax.
So Halifax now trying to work this ball away from their own line if they possibly can. And Saltonstall again is trying to, trying to conjure some magic in attack. Ben Kay gets the short pass away, but there was a 3-man ambush there waiting to affect the tackle, which they do. Kay once again makes a bit of ground, holds on this time. Crossley in over the top. Almost at halfway though. And Morell's little dab through to the corner will make sure that they begin this set. 10 metres from the Bradford line, and a bit of a slip and a slide from Ryan Shaw, but he managed to get it safely.
You know, I think Scott Morell was thinking about putting a play on. He had the ball in 2 hands, and out the corner of his eye, in his peripheral vision, he must have noticed Ryan Shaw underneath the H's, and that's the reason he dabbed it into that corner. Lovely game management from him.
Change for Halifax. You might have noticed Mikey Wood, the teenager, coming on the field, the England Academy International on loan from the Huddersfield Giants. He's replaced Tangata. Meanwhile, with a wrist stick there, and Syker gets it wide, and he finds Adam Henry again. Then the ball goes to ground. Crossley has to drop on it gratefully. The referee has given Bradford the penalty.
Well, there's a bit of scuffling going on in the background. I think it's Jacob Furbank who's in the middle of it. There's a bit of pushing and shoving. Here's the tackle, here's the offload.
There's the pull from Steve Tyree, the obstruction. So the referee gives the penalty away. They need to stop the offload. The juggernaut's going forward for Bradford in collision, attracting the Halifax defenders, offloading the ball. Need to make sure that they better up contact.
Alex Mellor, the man who played the ball. Here is Steve Crossley. Crossley taking it into within 5 metres of the Halifax line. They're lined up down the left. Here are Bradford. And the ball here is with Mendaker. He gets it away, and there's a chance here once more for Matt Ryan, the try scorer in the opening 3 minutes. Mendaker waits again at dummy half. It's now with Matty Blythe. Blythe turns round and goes back the same way. Crossley once more, big man, up the middle he goes. And eventually he's brought down, but 7 metres away from the Halifax line. Now it's with Harry Syker. Syker gets a bullet pass once again to Matt Ryan. Decent defence though from Halifax to bring him down. Caro, Mendeka slides the kick in, and it comes up. It comes up for Ryan Shaw. And Ryan Shaw dots the ball down. It was a bit of a slip and a slide, but he got to it just the same. And the 24-year-old who's missed all these qualifiers so far, and a try and a couple of goals against Halifax though in the summer bash in Blackpool. He's come up with another try against Halifax here today.
Well, much like the Halifax try a couple of minutes ago, here's the penalty that gave Bradford possession and latterly position. And it's James Mendeka who just dabs the ball forward. What courage and bravery from Ryan Shaw. But pleased to see James Mendeka. He had a horror show against Hull KR a week or two ago, playing at fullback, made a few mistakes, and that's James Mendeka. That's what he builds his game on. Nice passes, a good running game, and a lovely short kick as well.
So Ryan Shaw, it's his try, and if he kicks this, it will be his second goal of the match. And this would level the scores up with about 26 minutes on the clock.
The clock is the actual time of the day.
This big Odsal Bowl that Barry talked about favourably earlier on. We have had some fantastic nights here in the past in Super League, particularly when the Leeds Rhinos came down the road. And that's a good kick, another good kick from Ryan Shaw. Scores are level, and it's those sort of nights when they have Leeds here and 20-odd thousand on that Bradford are hoping to get back to next year. No,
he's not the biggest Ryan Shaw, but what a brave take that was under pressure from Mitch Cullen, the big drop forward. It's his first appearance in the playoffs. I think both of these fullbacks have started off well. Both show that they're brave at the back, taking the ball, and there's all the youngsters coming to support Bradford and hopefully see them here with a win and go in next week with confidence when they play against Wakefield.
Tyra gets us underway again. Deep kick off into the corner.
Stick him low, boys! Tackle.
And Paul Clough again trundling the ball forward.
Here,
one of the big men in this
now,
Bradford.
Paul. Don't push
pack.
forward. 2. Move, Luke!
9-match winning run for Halifax at the end of the regular season. Got them into these qualifiers at the expense of Featherstone Rovers.
Play on still 2.
He's Mendeka now though for Bradford.
And you look at both of these sides, they're not making many mistakes, both completing the sets up to 90%, 91% Bradford, 92% Halifax. So they're both respecting the ball, they're both respecting position, they get into the kicks, and it is the old arm wrestle. That's what's taking place at present. It's just the offloading game from Bradford, I think, that's getting Halifax at present.
Well, they've reached the last tackle here. Once again, Syker with a high arrowing kick. Oh, and that nudged off the toes, I think, of Eccleston. He's saying it never touched him, but I think it might have done this. I think he got a little touch on it. He's making a play for it. Yes, it's come off the hands.
Well, you're always in trouble when you're reversing, and he's spinning around, disorientated, doesn't know where his try line is, doesn't know where the defenders are coming from. He's got to just think about the ball, and in that moment of confusion,
just didn't look comfortable though, did he?
Well, that's definitely hit the hand, but the video ref's had a couple of looks at it, and he's given the head and feed to Halifax here.
Maybe he gets away with this, Eddie.
Well, he declared his innocence when he raised the hands, didn't he? Never touched me, never touched me.
Well, he's not going to turn around to the ref saying, yeah, come off my hands, give it them.
Well, he doesn't need to. That's the job of the video referee, and he's missed that one.
Well, he gets away with it, but now because he's made that mistake, Eddie, you'll bet your bottom dollar that he'll be targeted again in this game because he didn't look quite comfortable underneath it.
Like he would. Plays the ball there to number 20, that's Saltonstall. And into the dummy half roll now goes Ben Kay for Halifax, and they'll trundle this ball forward again. They've had a little escape there, a little let-off that should have been head and feet to Bradford, but as it is, here is Scott Morrell just inside his own half, just grubbering the ball all along the ground. And in the end, it bounced fairly kindly for Ryan Shaw.
And it's all very controlled at the minute. You see Richard Moore, the compulsive offloader in the Halifax shirt. He's been prowling the touchline, mark my words, when he gets on the pitch. If it's Bradford's offload game that's troubling Halifax, it'd be the other way around when he gets on. Good effort.
Oh, that's a great offload, though, just the same. Oh, he was almost through, wasn't he? Jean-Philippe Bale. Oh, here's a break on. He has support from Ryan Shaw. Bradford go in to the lead, and Ryan Shaw gets his second try of the match. But he's missed the qualifiers to this point, as I say, but he's making up for lost time out there. Ryan Shaw. And really, when you think about it, that head and feet should have been Halifax's. It wasn't. And on the end of this set of 6, they've turned the possession over, and Bradford have come down the other end and scored.
Eddie, they should have solved that problem on the play before. There was 3 Halifax defenders that got off the line. They come on with a decent shot, but unfortunately the offload came in, and then from that play the ball, James Clare comes in from the wing. His speed gets him going upstream in the middle of the park, and that man backing up Ryan Shaw, just following the speeds that James Clare gets a nice little offload away, and he goes in yet again for his second try.
Well, he's a prolific point scorer, isn't he, Ryan Shaw?
Eddie, good teams get you like that. With the speed, if you lose the ruck, if you don't control the speed of which they're going to play the ball, good teams will burn you around the middle.
We've been talking about Vila Halefi, son of Nick. Well, Ryan Shaw's dad, Neil Shaw, played for Barrow for many, many a year, played against him, good solid forward, and they used to call him the Shaw thing. Well, Ryan Shaw, he's trying to live up to that name as well.
He is, and that's the 4th try that this young man has got against Halifax this season. Left-footed, he plonks the ball over the top of the crossbar, and Bradford are ahead by 18 points to 12.
Says he's bang on. Here's the mistake that's made. Mistake made by Halifax, and they took advantage of that. And it's a lovely midfield break, wonderful pass, nice right-handed offload. And the beauty for Ryan Shaw, he's playing in the full-back role, the beauty for him is he can just patrol and drift and try and find that ball and try and feed off some scraps, and he's certainly done that well so far.
So Bradford in front on the half-hour mark by 18 points to 12. And that's Dan Fleming who's being wrestled to the ground. Next week it's semi-final time in the Super League, and as a result of last night's thriller at the John Smith Stadium, Huddersfield have to travel to Wigan. A 7:30 start, Sky Sports 1 for that on Thursday. And on Friday, Leeds, by virtue of the fact that they got the game in the last second with the Ryan Hall try, they're at home to St Helens on Friday, 7:30 Sky Sports 1 again. And Fleming has put that ball down, and here they go. This is the free play, I think, and it's Johnson.
Looking like they're enjoying themselves, Bradford. Every time that they go into a tackle, they're spinning, they're offloading, there's players pushing up in support. But Halifax on that set of 6, they had some whack in the tackle. The offload here from Bradford, just a bit of a pass and hope, really, that nobody was with them. And that's Bradford when you're in a confident mood and you know you can get your arm free, you'll offload every time you get into that tackle.
It's Johnson again, and he gets the pass away to Dane Manning. Halted 9 metres short. Oh, and that was almost down a blind alley then. He managed to hold his nerve, did Ben Kay. Looping pass then to Scott Morrell. And that was a high shot on Scott Morrell. And I think it was by Jay Pitts, the skipper.
He just goes at the line. Jay Pitts comes out of the line.
See what Scott Morrell thought of that. His face told its own story.
Looking to keep the pressure on, maybe score another try here before half-time, Halifax.
Spencer plays the ball. It's spun wide to Morrell again. Short ball from him. It's Calhane. And he's just short of the line. And he gets it wide. Tyra through one challenge.
3. Movement!
Thought about getting the pass away that would work by Manning. He'd cut him off at the pass.
Need to be deeper, Halifax. There's a staggered attacking line then. Needs to be a bit more fluent.
Richard Moore through a couple. Oh, there's the offload we've been talking about, and I think that's Jay Pitts who's come to the rescue for Bradford.
Eddie, and that's that blind offload. Bradford players would have looked up, seen Richard Moore. They wouldn't have expected him to step off his right foot. Comes up, lands on his front. As he's about to hit the ground, offloads the ball. Unfortunately, it goes to Jay Pitts for Bradford.
Movement!
Well, it was a little bit too long by Mikey Wood. He was just hanging on.
Well, again, it's just that field position, isn't it? It's just simple meters. They're 25 meters from the line, Bradford. The trap there, then all of a sudden you give a penalty away and you gift the opposition a further 25 meters.
Only his second appearance for Halifax for Mikey Wood. There he is in the tackle now. His first was against Bradford earlier this season. From the famous Slough Saracens Amateur Club in Huddersfield, Mikey Wood. Getting involved again in the tackle, the big number 36, only 19 years of age, an England Academy international. And again getting a hit in then.
Ready, Richard. Come.
And that was on Jean-Philippe Bale. Here's a drive forward now by Ryan once more. Mendeka gets the ball to Pitts. Pitts then finds Syker. Syker is halted 11 metres shy of the line. Mikey Wood again in with the tackle. Bullet pass wide forward. Forward pass. Amari Caro thought he was in for the try. It's the turnover because that was on the last.
And it was called by the touch judge. Ben Fowler in communication with the outside man. Working as a team, the touch judge and the referee. But again, when Bradford go at the line, they look so dangerous. And on this left edge, when they go at the line, they pull the Halifax defenders out. Try and hit one of their teammates in space. Unfortunately, the pass goes forward.
Richard Moore will bring the ball forward again for Halifax. He's been around a bit, hasn't he? Richard Moore in his 33 years, much travelled, but ever present in all 32 now for Halifax this year. Good offload as well on that occasion from Saltonstall.
Halifax have brought Ryan Manili, the young hooker. Definitely got pace, speed, good instinct. You see him in 21 there. He'll be following those big players like Richard Moore.
Morell's high kick is dealt with capably by Ryan Shaw. Into the last 5 minutes we are before half-time.
And it's danger time this, Eddie. See a couple of the big fellas from both sides now starting to walk. Maybe switching off when they're going to be defending. This is very dangerous. You can't do that. When you're bringing the ball away, keep a tight grip on it. Let the half-backs just bosh you around. Direct you where they want you to go. Lay the platform.
Shoulder. 4. Move!
Doing the little things right, I think, Halifax. Just a couple of switch off and a couple of defensive plays, which has led to some tries. That's a great kick.
On the 20.
Yes, well done by Harry Syker.
It's a good defensive set from Halifax. We're noticing all the little things, and there's some really good indicators. Richard Marshall, when he gets his team in at half-time, I'm sure he'll talk about maintaining
Nice and quick.
keeping up the standards that they've already set themselves. Players like young Jack Spencer, the number 13 who's come on from Halifax, really put himself about. They've got a good attitude and a good work ethic today, Halifax.
Richard Marshall's on his way down to the dressing rooms because he knows there's not too much longer to go in this first half.
All right, Scott. Stay on, lads! Back on! Discipline, boys!
And so Halifax, well, they'll have this set of 6, but maybe they will also then have a set coming at them from the Bradford Bulls.
I think both sides will have a couple of sets of 6, Eddie, with the ball. As I said, just looking at maybe some of the tired in forwards around the middle. You can see the urgency to play the ball. Let's go forward in numbers.
And get on the back of any offloads that Richard Moore might produce, exactly as he did then to Culhane. And they get the penalty to Halifax for interference in the ruck at the play the ball by Henry.
And that's what an offload will give you. It'll give you a fractured defensive line. And he can't control Calhoun, he's too big. It's good work, lovely offload from Richard Moore. When he gets it right, I'll tell you.
Calhoun will take it forward again. This is a glorious opportunity for Halifax to post the equalising try. And they're over the line. They're over the line with Manning. And they've got the try with Manning.
Well, that's that maybe switch-off play from Bradford. But Dane Manning, did this ball go forward? He comes onto a hard line. He hits it really aggressively.
He's the front runner, isn't he, Tess? Just to explain. Here's the offload from Richard Moore. He's got two players to choose from. He finds the big fella. And then further down the field, there's a front runner and there's a runner out the back.
After
Scott
that
Morrell to
penalty as
choose
well.
from. It's not Scott Morrell, correct myself, it's Ben Johnson. Good finish from Dane Manning. 14 tries this year now for the back rower.
I think that ball goes forward. And I agree with you, Dane Manning. He thought that the ball was going to go behind, so he's coming through as a dummy runner to try and pull some of the Bradford players in out of the line, which will create the space on the edge. He wasn't expecting that short ball, but he hits it, he catches it, and he scores the try.
So if Steve Tyra kicks this, his third successful kick of the afternoon, Halifax will turn round level pegging with the Bradford Bulls, and that will be a moral victory for the Halifax team. Manning's try. He's only missed one game all year, Dane Manning, and he began his career at the Leeds Rhinos. So can Tyra add the extras? He's kicked 3 from similar position to this. If he does, got 2 already. The bully in the background doing his best. Oh, he's hit the post. So 18-16 to Bradford. Manning's 4 points, that's all.
It's no surprise to me that Dane Manning has scored so many tries in his season at Halifax. I worked with him a little bit in the early stage of his career, and while he was at the Rhinos, a lot of people were comparing him to the great Jamie Peacock, who graced this field, of course, as well as the Headingley team. He's had to do it the tough way. He spent some time at Featherstone, had to grind away, and he's doing it tough, but he's making a good fist of it, Dane Manning.
He is, and on his CV it says, as taught by Barry McDermott.
I doubt it.
Richard Moore, you ever taught this fellow? Would you teach him anything?
No. No.
Gets to play the ball pretty quickly. Last minute of the game in the first half. Moore at dummy half.
Oh, he's got all the skills.
He's been half-back near the try line. He's now a hooker.
He'll want to
be on the wing soon.
He'll want a kick.
With a solid run from that man, Mitch Calhoun. And here is Johnson. Oh, he's toying with them. Johnson, it's opened up for him. Just couldn't get the pass away. Oh, yes, he can. Finds Scott Morrell. There's a man wide. They're looking for him in the corner. Oh, to the rescue comes the big hand of James Clare.
Well, good play from Ben Johnson, wasn't it? Taking on the big Bradford side, and then a kick from Scott Morrell. Nearly a try for Tom Saxton. Would have been a fabulous finish to this first half, Ed.
It would indeed. Well, it started very brightly for Bradford when Matt Ryan got over. But then Halifax hit back with 2 tries of their own, Saxton and Tyra. Shaw with 2 more, and then Manning right on the stroke of half-time. It's tight. Couldn't be much tighter. 18-16 at half-time.